Hello everyone, Seraphin here, welcome back for more Fire Emblem Blazing Sword. When I last left you guys, we finished up Chapter 24 a little early, so I moved on to Chapter 25 and got to see some of the story exposition. I also went over a little bit more of my objectives this map, and as I mentioned, we're going to have to kill a couple of people before a certain time limit. We need to kill this here Sage and this here Bishop. Either that or, barring one of them, this Druid instead. Kill at least 2 of the 3 of them before turn 7 to get this character that I want. And honestly, that's not going to be hard. In fact, it's going to be very easy. I'll probably have it done before like turn 4 or 5. So that being said, we're going to get right into it here. Something I'm going to start doing a little bit more, or at least what I'd like to start doing a little bit more, is rather than just straight up commentating what's happening on the screen and just talking over my gameplay, I want to start talking a little bit more about the franchise as a whole. And I guess some of the reasons why it's my favorite game franchise. And there's a number of reasons for that. I mainly grew up playing tactics games, this kind of style stuff. I guess my first real run-in with it was Shining Force on the Sega Genesis. That was my console of choice growing up. I didn't have Nintendo or anything, that was all I got. And honestly, even then, that was kind of a surprise because my family has never really been very supportive of my gaming habits. So that was what I had growing up, and that really got me a very interesting taste for fantasy in general, because that's another fantasy style game. On top of that, it really got me into the tactics genre. It's very fun to just move people around, and it's almost like a more advanced game of chess, and that's what I like. I really like chess in real life too, and I like to think I'm pretty good at it. I think I've only lost once, as far as I can remember. I don't play that often, so take that with a grain of salt. But at the same time, it is something that I enjoy. So I like to think of myself as a competent tactician. Certainly some people might have a different opinion of that. I'm not... I'm very aware of my shortcomings. I'm aware of the fact that I'm not anywhere near as good as I could be if I put more time and energy into it and maybe just kind of process things a little better, but it's still something I really enjoy, and I get a lot of catharsis out of playing stuff like this. It makes me feel smart. I'm not dumb by any means. At least I certainly don't think I'm dumb by any means, but that said, there's a lot of times where I see people doing amazing things that I just like, man, I really wish I was smart enough to do stuff like that. And this is one of the things that I think I'm good at, so. That being said, I've been playing Fire Emblem pretty much since it came out in the States. It came out in 2003. This is the one that came out in America. Japan's had it a lot longer. Japan's had it since, I think, 1990. And we didn't get it until 2003. Maybe 2002, I can't remember which. It was around that area. At any rate, that's when I really got into it, and my cousin actually told me about it sometime before then. I had never even heard of it, obviously. But he's talking about this game, hey, it's called Fire Emblem, it's only in Japan, and yada yada yada, and it sounded really intriguing to me. And I was like, oh, okay, well, too bad I'll never get to play it. This is me as a teenager. Skill on Dart. Nicely done. So, there was that. And then, when I saw I think it was some kind of, like, advertising booklet or something I got for the GameCube and the Game Boy Advance, and it had Fire Emblem in it, and I was like, no way, we're getting it here in America, and I was super psyched. So, needless to say, I was geeked about this series before it even actually came out in this country, but I've been obsessed with it ever since. I played this one to death when it first came out, pretty much sold everything I had as a teenager just to buy a Game Boy Advance and play this game. And Sacred Stones came out a year or two after that, and I was just as geeked about that one. Sacred Stones was good. I liked it. It's not my favorite by any means, but it's a good game. There's no bad Fire Emblem games. Certainly, I have some that I like more than others. Fates, I think, is a really good example of that. A lot of people, Fates might even have been their first game, because Fire Emblem has enjoyed a very big resurgence in popularity over recent years. A lot of that had to do with Awakening coming out. Awakening kind of revitalized the franchise, so to speak. Made it popular again made it popular, period, really, because it was never all that popular in the States. It never really sold all that well in the States. Not until Awakening came out. And Awakening blew up. It was huge. And I remember when Awakening came out, I was also very excited. I have a limited edition 3DS just for Awakening. Urk still not getting any magic, and that's... Urk, I'm sorry, dude. I think it's bench time. He's just not getting stat growth where he needs them. The only stat that he even comes close to matching Pent on is speed, which I think he has exactly as much of, and he's got more defense. Whoop-de-doo. And his staff rank's nowhere near as good. I'm sorry, Urk, I think you're going to be done after this. I might give him one more chance to prove himself, but beyond that, I don't think I'm going to be making use of Urk any longer than this. I'm sorry, everybody, if that's what you were hoping for, but he's just not living up to his potential right now, and that's really upsetting. Particularly for me, because I wanted to keep using him. I don't get a chance to use Urk all that often. Alright, that being said, I don't want to bring Priscilla very much further in here because I don't want her to get shredded by those long-range magic guys. We're going to buff Heath's resistance a little bit, too. I don't think... I know I touched on it a little bit. I don't think I'm going to wait till very high level, very much longer to promote Priscilla. Unfortunately, she's just... In terms of her raw combat potential, it's very limited. Her magic is decent, but when she promotes, she only has E rank in tomes and can only use basic fire magic, and it's not really enough to put enough of a dent into the late game enemies. She'll rarely one-round things, if at all. She's plenty fast enough and got lots of luck and resistance, but she's just not meant to be a combat unit. She's just meant to be a staff bot, so that's really probably what I'm just going to keep her as. But the stat gains that she'll benefit from being promoted will definitely help. And being able to retaliate when she's attacked in the odd occasion will certainly be helpful, even if it's not very much damage. So, again, I'm not going to wait too much longer. I'll probably do it around, like, level 15 or so. She's almost, what, level 12 right now, so not too much longer. Maybe a little sooner, depending on how I feel, but it will not be long before we promote Priscilla. That being said, we're going to top off Florina here. And then I'm going to go take out that Bolting Mage because he's really starting to bug me. Now, the two of them together is what I was worried about. No, one of them doesn't have a chance of taking down any of my units by themselves, but the two of them together, if they focus fire, can easily dispatch Legalt or Heath or even Priscilla. So I'm going to try it. As long as I have just the one of them taken down, I can move forward a little easier. Man, with the strength growth, her strength is higher than her speed, for crying out loud. So this is incredibly unusual. Pegasus Knights are supposed to be some of the fastest characters in the game, and usually really low on the strength scale, and Florina is just spitting on that entire archetype right now. Again, it's not a bad thing, it's just really weird. So, I know I was talking a little bit about my history with this franchise, but what I meant to get into a little bit more is some of the nuances that I love about this game, and I guess it makes more sense to talk about the stuff that I don't like. For example, I don't like Fates, and it's not that it's a bad game. The mechanics of the game are fine, but Fates has a problem in that the story is really bland and boring, and I don't like a lot of the characters. A lot of them are very one-dimensional. You know, that kind of a thing. And I know some of you were like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. It's a tactics game. Why do you care about the story so much? And it's because it's a big part of these games. And that's what makes me love, well, there's a number of reasons why Radiant Dawn's my favorite, but a big one is the story. Radiant Dawn, I think, has the best story out of all the Fire Emblem games. And yes, that includes Awakening. Awakening's got an okay story, but not the best by any reason. That being said, Fates is... I just couldn't get into it. I was really geeked when it came out. I'm like, hey, there's 3 different versions. It's like Pokemon, right? Red, blue, and yellow? No, it's... they're all completely different experiences, and... Only one of them I can really say is any good. And I don't like saying that. I really don't, because I wanted to like Fates a lot. In fact, I got like the special Uber Collector's Edition with it that came with all 3 versions on one cartridge, rather than me having to get DLC and download each one individually. I got them all in one cartridge. And I paid through the nose for that. It was really hard to find, and it wasn't cheap. But I got it, and I was very disappointed. So I think the best combination for me with these games is not just the mechanics and the gameplay, but the story is also very important. This one's also really good in terms of story, in my opinion. Sometimes it seems a little bland. It's like, yeah, big evil bad guy trying to destroy the world, and we're just this random group of people that are put organized together and going to kill him, yada yada yada. But what this game has is some serious character development, and that's the biggest thing, I think. Is getting to know each of the individual characters, their life story, their personality, their background, the struggles they have, that kind of deal. That's the thing that I love most about this series, I think, is every character has depth. Not just the main characters, but everybody in your army is their own unique individual person. And depending on how much time and effort you want to put into supporting them, you know, doing support conversations and whatnot, it allows you to learn really as much as you want to about them. And the nice thing about that, too, especially in games like this one, you can't get it all at once. You need to keep coming back to get all of it. Because, well, you can't do every support conversation in one playthrough. You can't use every single character in one playthrough. The game just won't let you. There's not enough space on your army to use every single character every single time you play. So it not only does it add a lot of replayability, which thank goodness, because I don't know what I would do if I couldn't play this over and over again, but it lets you focus on what you want to focus on. Like, I really like this character, I want to learn more about them. Let's have them talk to so-and-so and learn more about what they did when they were kids, yeah, and that kind of stuff. And that's fascinating to me. And I think a lot of people would agree with me in that particular regard. Let's get rid of this bishop. I'm not liking him anymore. Get rid of him with style, too, with a nice javelin crit. So I know I'm gushing a little bit about the franchise in terms of what's good and what's not about it, but ultimately that's why you're watching this, right? You're interested in maybe you only care about the gameplay, maybe you only care about the story, maybe for some awkward reason you're only here because you like listening to me talk. I sincerely doubt that, but you know, some people are weird. I'm just kidding, you're not weird for listening to me talk. I listen to people talk all the time for fun. So not only do I do this, not only do I record for fun, but I also watch a lot of YouTube in my spare time. Even if it's just on in the background listening to someone talk, I like having it, so I do not blame anybody for liking doing that. Now, I gotta be careful here because I want to use Raven's Devil Axe to level up his axe rank quicker, but that thing is so risky it hurts. Literally, it hurts. If you backfire, it hurts you really bad. Especially in the hands of someone like Raven, who is just an absolute monster. And I know I talked briefly about using the Devil Axe as a really easy and, not necessarily easy, but a very quick way to level up your weapon rank and axes. But it comes with the caveat that it's very scary to use. Especially with someone whose luck is not spectacular like Raven's. Okay, so even with not that great a strength and very mediocre speed, Hector is still one-shot, or doubling and one-rounding these wyverns. And that's less of a testament of how good he still is at 15 strength and 11 speed, and more of a testament of how just pathetically easy some of these units are. That's the unfortunate reality, is playing through Hector normal mode, or Elo normal mode rather, the enemies don't really offer that much in the way of substantial resistance. This is by far the easiest version of this game. Playing through Hector's quest is a pretty reasonable spike in difficulty. Not too much, but enough. The enemy density is certainly a lot greater. There's a lot more stuff for you to hit in Hector mode than there is in Elowood mode. There's also more chapters to do in Hector's mode versus Ellawood's, so the game just lasts a bit longer. But yeah, the enemies are generally a little bit harder in his. That being said, Hector hard mode is a whole different monster. Ellawood normal mode is maybe about as difficult as Hector normal and Ellawood hard are about the same difficulty. And the reason Ellawood hard mode is a little bit worse is because hard mode just gives you fewer experience points from killing things, and it gives you fewer deployment slots per chapter. So you get fewer characters to use, but ultimately, in terms of difficulty of the enemies and the density, it's not any different. Hector hard mode, though, is a whole different beast. In fact, I've only attempted it 1 or 2 times, and I'm honestly thinking that when I come back and play Hector mode at some point in this game, I'll probably do hard mode, just so you guys can see the just the absolute drastic difference between the two, because it's very, very, very big. And also because I kind of want to prove that I'm not a scrub and I'm actually decent at this game, and do Hector hard mode. Considering I've been playing this game for darn near half my life at this point, I really should be good at it. There's no excuse for me to be bad at this game. I'm sure some of the more veteran Fire Emblem players will disagree. Apparently, a lot of the things that I do and a lot of the way that I play this game is not... it's not the way that a lot of the more pro players would do it. I'm saying pro in the vein that people that play this game religiously that are more analytical and more, you know, I only do what very... What's the word I'm looking for here? Very pragmatic. How about that? They only use the things that are good. They don't like wasting time training units that come in at a low level but turn out to be great if you train them and waste time with them. I watch a couple of these people that do stuff like this. There's 2 in particular that I watch. I'll probably link their channels later, but these 2 guys, they're very methodical when it comes to Fire Emblem, and that's something that I think is cool. I like watching them. It's entertaining, certainly, but I think they're maybe a little bit... Hey, you got strength, perfect. I think they're maybe a little bit too analytical, and they only care about things that are objectively better than other things. So I'll see them rate characters from the various different games that they've played. They did one on this game, and they'll go through and say, okay, this unit's good at XYZ, but they're bad because XYZ, and they'll just overall rate how good they are, and if they're not any good, they won't use them. And it's like, well, that's no fun. Like, there's no bad characters in this game. Certainly not. Even characters like, you know, Dorcas can be argued that they have a use. Every character has something they're good at. And even though Dorcas is really slow and doesn't have great defenses, he hits like a truck, and he's got a ton of HP, so he's hard to knock down. Is Raven objectively better in almost every area? Yeah, of course, but if you just use Raven all the time, then it's gonna be boring. And I get that everybody should play this game the way that they want to play it, and they say the same thing. These guys will be like, you know what, play however you want. You're supposed to have fun. It's a game. Do whatever you want to do. Don't take their word as gospel, that kind of thing. But given how much they shove down the idea of only use paladins and mercenaries because they're the best classes, everything else is garbage, don't waste your time, it's like, well, no. It's not that units that aren't paladins and heroes are garbage, it's that they have a different specialty. Paladins are very well-rounded. They're good at they're decent at everything. And they move really fast. That's their thing, they move really fast. And their argument is they're mounted, they're amazing because they can clear maps quicker because they can move so fast. And it's like, well, yeah, but not everybody likes to play hard and fast like that. Some people like to take their time and strategize and train units to become amazing. And I don't like the mentality of if they don't start out good or they don't have access to XYZ thing, then they're useless. And it's like, well, that's not fair. A common complaint that I see is don't use archers because they can't retaliate on enemy phase at close range because they don't use bows. And it's like, well, yeah, that's true, but that doesn't make them useless. I would much rather have an archer on my team just for the sake of They are a good ranged unit. And the argument can be made, oh, well, heroes can use hand axes and javelins can attack from range anyway, and also retaliate in melee because they do both. Well, yeah, but, I mean, there's certainly a lot of merit in those kind of arguments. I get it. I'm not going to disagree with any of those assertions, but at the same time, I don't think it's fair to completely rule out an entire class of character just because they can't do everything you want them to do. Archers have their purpose. Like, if you need to kill flying units, you want archers. They're objectively the best way to go about killing them. Because anything with wings gets torn to shreds by something with a bow in this game. And you'll bring up someone like Rebecca. It's like, oh, Rebecca's crap because she's not very strong and she only uses a bow. It's like, well, yeah, but she picks off wyverns in one hit. And it's like, well, no, sometimes she won't because her strength growth is garbage. Like, yeah, but she still does a lot of damage with a bow to something with wings on it, even if it's a wyvern. So I fundamentally disagree with the assertion that certain classes are useless because simply on merit of they don't do everything. Cavaliers and paladins, yeah, they do everything. That's their thing. They're not exceptionally great at any one thing, but they can do almost damn near anything. And that's fine. But I'm not going to have a team full of nothing but cavaliers. That's boring. Like, why? Why would you want to do that? That's not fun. And maybe to certain people it is fun. To me, it's not. And I would rather have a diverse group of units with different abilities and different strengths, and that will allow me to tackle a more wide array of different situations, and having nothing but cavaliers makes that impossible. So, I mean, I'm sorry for rambling on about that, but it's one of those things that really bugs me, that some people seem to think there is a right and a wrong way to play this game, and that's fundamentally untrue. You can play it however the heck you want. If you only want to use fighters and warriors, be my guest. Do whatever you want. You can probably win the game that way. It'll be tough, but you can probably do it. There's no wrong way to play. I guess the only wrong way to play was getting all your characters killed, because then you're just going to be screwed. But even that's really hard to do. Unless you do it intentionally. Like, if you send Heath into a bunch of archers, or you send Florina into a pack of pirates, then yeah, they're going to have a hard time. But unless you're really trying and you really don't want to play the game, like, the only reason you want to get all your characters killed is if you just don't care about playing the game. And then at that point, why are you playing the game? Ideally, you'd want to play the game because you want to beat it, right? That's why you play games, is to beat them, generally speaking, or to accomplish some kind of challenge. Be that like a deathless run, or a complete the game in the fewest number of turns, or that. I see a lot of that, especially with this game. Is that's what these guys are talking about. Is they try to go for completing the game in the fewest number of turns, and the best way to do that is to use units who can move quickly, who are reliable, and can just take out anything that comes against them, regardless of what phase they're attacking in, that kind of thing. And I get it. But you should just play the darn game the way you want to play it. So, if you listen to me rambling on and you're getting annoyed because you're like, oh, I don't want to use Raven because I don't like him, even though he's an amazing unit, or, you know, Pegasus Knights are crap because they can't take a hit, I don't want to use them, that's fine, do what you want. I think Pegasus Knights are amazing. I think archers are incredible. Like Rebecca here. Like, everyone gives Rebecca so much garbage. She's incredible. Yeah, she takes a lot of babying starting out because she's not exceptionally great, but look at her! Those are amazing stats! And admittedly, that's probably the most strength I've seen on her at this point in the game ever, but like, unless someone gets really horribly screwed on their stat ups, any one character can be this good. Arguments can be made that certain characters are more awesome than others, and that's true, I get it. But at the same time, use who you want, play the way you want, have fun with it. That's my mantra for this game. So, sorry for rambling, but that's just how I feel about it. And there's a lot of core values in this game that are the same from installment to installment. There's always lots of characters to pick from, and that's good because you can pick the ones you like and you can ignore the ones you don't. you can get the experience out of it that you want to have. And that's another thing that's great about this particular installment, is there's so many different ways to play. Like, you can choose to go through Lynn's mode, which is like a prologue, basically. Or you can choose to skip it once you've done it once. As soon as you play through Lynn normal mode, you never have to touch it again. You can choose to just completely ignore that part of the game if you want, and start right at Chapter 11 on Hector or Elwood mode. And that's the other cool thing, too, is you have 2 different quest lines to go through. You can pick whichever one you want. They're both different enough that there's, you know, substantial changes. And then, if you want a little more of a challenge, you dial it to hard mode on either one of those 2. That's 5 different modes, or technically 6 if you think about it. Do you play Hector normal, or... Really, no, actually, you know what? It's 8. Because you can play Elwood hard or normal, Hector hard or normal, and you can choose to play Lynn or not in any one of those 4. I would argue that adding Lynn mode makes things a little easier because it gives you a lot more opportunity to train those units that you have access to in that part of the game. But if you don't want to have that, I guess, handicap, quote-unquote, then just don't play Lynn mode. So this particular one, thankfully, the first one we got, is one of the best ones in terms of play the way you want kind of a thing. And the only real complaint I have about this particular one is that you don't always have a lot of choices when it comes to certain classes. For example, Priscilla is the only Troubadour/Valkyrie you get. Wrath is the only Nomad Trooper that you get. But with regards to everything else, you've got plenty of choices. That Druid's really starting to annoy me. He keeps lobbing Eclipse Tome, which is a garbage tome. Not only does it never hit, but it's just, like, really, all it does is deal half my HP. My remaining HP, even. And that's just kind of dumb. I don't like it. It occurs to me I should have Elwood over here because he actually needs to talk to the character that I'm going to try to recruit. Alright, now that Lego's got this door open, we can start grabbing some treasure. I'm hoping to get Rebecca and Raven's A support, or B support rather, this level. And that will actually cap Rebecca for supports. I don't remember if more guys show up over there or not. I guess we'll find out. Alright, and there's nothing left over here for me to kill. Dart's having himself a grand old time. I don't know. You'll notice that those reinforcements will spawn back toward where Merlinus is and try to kill him, but being an immobile tent, he's very good at dodging things. I never quite understood that. Like, is his tent made of, like, unobtainium? Does it, like, just literally teleport out of the way or something? Who knows? But he's got, like, he's got 18 speed and 26 luck. He's got an avoid of 62. And he doesn't move. Like, what? Somebody should explain that to me sometime. But anyway, moving on. What is this? It's gonna snow again. Great, my favorite. I do love the snow. Can't believe I just said that. And the irony, too, because actually where I live right now, it's actually starting to snow quite a bit, and it's starting to get really annoying. Personally, I am not a big fan of snow, regardless of the fact that I come from an area of the country where it is very cold a lot of the time. I'm not going to give it away, but I'll let you figure it out. So you'd think I'd be used to it, but no, still don't like snow. Never have, probably never will. I'm starting to wonder, who needs the experience the most from killing these guys? I think I should let... Yeah, you know... Might as well make the beast even beastlier, I guess, right? Certainly couldn't hurt, at any rate. I think we're getting close to the point where that character's going to start showing up, so... Let's start cracking open some treasure here, shall we? A blue gem. That's a nice 5,000 gold right there. Raven just laughs at these guys. You know, he's been my favorite unit in this game for a long time, but holy smokes is he ever amazing. And Florian will tear this guy to shreds just as easily as Raven tore that other guy to shreds. Seriously, I don't understand how her strength is this good. I've never seen it this high. This thief thinks he's going to get away from me, but he would be mistaken. Now, who is this guy? A good wind. You mean a cold one? Where is your shirt, dude? Does that mean a feast? I love feasts. What did he bring? Is it like a potluck kind of a deal? Well, actually, we're going to find out what he brought for the feast next time. So, thank you all very much for sticking around with me this long. I really do appreciate it. We've got about 6 or 7 chapters left to go, I think, until the last one. Maybe not that many. We'll see. At any rate, we're going to meet our brand new green friend here in the next episode. So until then, thank you all very much. I really do appreciate you all sticking around for this long. This has been Seraphin. Until then, have a good night, everybody.